What's up, my backyard ghoulies? It's your boy, Drew. I'm back. I'm joined here with Ariel, a.k.a. A-Rod, a.k.a. the sister from another mister, a.k.a. the most dopest in the Midwest. This week we're going to take a deep dive into the crazy dark story of Jerry Brudos. I'll take you back in time to the late 60s, where many women were brutally murdered based on the style of shoes they were wearing. As always, follow us on all social media platforms. Get ready, you cheesy rebels. This is Cheese for Thought Podcast. Thank you for joining us for the first time. If not, welcome back. Alright, let's dive into this. A family friend actually recommended this one. Shout out Doug.
And speaking of shout outs, we did get our very first email suggestion. So shout out to Jesse. Thank you so much for our first email.
Alright. It was colder than a normal winter day in the town of Webster in Day County in the state of South Dakota, when Eileen and Henry Brudos gave birth to their second son, a healthy baby named Jerome Henry Brudos. Eileen has always wanted and would pray for a little girl for their second child, but when she found out she'd given birth to another baby boy, she was devastated and spiteful. She already had a son, Larry, whom she adored, but felt like Jerome was nothing but a burden and just another subpar son.
Oh, great. Okay, so we're starting out strong here.
Yeah, for real.
Nothing but disappointment for Jerome. Okay.
Yep. The Brudos family wouldn't stay in the town of Webster too long because once Jerome, also known as Jerry, became of toddler age, the family would start moving around a lot. The family would bounce back and forth between Oregon and California before his parents would land in Salem, Oregon, and finally decide they found a place they wanted to stay indefinitely.
Is this not like the craziest origin story? Living in a town called Salem.
But it's not Massachusetts.
Right, but still. But I'm
Yeah.
like, Salem, and I'm like, and then we have this murderer on the loose. I don't know. This is crazy. This is the perfect origin story.
Yeah, when I first was researching this, I saw Salem. I was like, oh, Massachusetts. And it said Oregon. I was like, oh.
I didn't even know there was a Salem in Oregon.
Yeah, I didn't
That's
know
cool.
either. It's crazy that there's so many, like, different towns that are named the same in each state. Early on in little Jerry's life, he would be a victim to his mother's mental and physical abuse. Kind of, it kind of goes hand in hand with all the...
I'm seeing a common theme
Yeah,
with all the
yeah.
cases we're doing. Okay.
Remember, she never wanted another son. She wanted a perfect little daughter. In her spiteful ways to get back at Jerry for being born a boy, she would force him
That's
to...
totally his fault.
Yeah, exactly. I was reading that too. It's like he didn't really choose. He kind of just came out what he was.
Mm-hmm.
She would force him to dress up like a little girl in dresses, skirts, put makeup on, and wear jewelry, and humiliate him in front of the family while praising and giving unconditional amounts of love to his older brother Larry at the same time.
Oh my god. Okay.
Yeah. Just to remind you, Jerry's only around 3, 4, 5 years old when his mother was doing this stuff to him.
That's horrible.
Yeah, that's not right. So it had to make a huge impact on his mental development process. I don't understand how a mother could do this to their child, especially since some people out there that aren't able to have kids would kill to have a son or a daughter.
Mm-hmm.
So one day, five-year-old Jerry was outside playing for the day when he came across a junkyard in the town they lived in. And like any other curious young boy, Jerry would sneak into the junkyard to explore and have an adventure. While Jerry was exploring the junkyard, he would stumble across a pair of women's shoes. A pair of black spiked pumps, to be exact. He sat down, put the pair of pumps on his feet, barely able to keep the shoes on his small feet, and he would suddenly find a deep connection with the women's shoes and decide to bring them home with him. When his mother found out the pair of pumps that Jerry brought home, she flew into a fit of rage and brought Jerry and the pumps outside and burned the pair of pumps in front of Jerry and made him watch.
Okay, what? What does she want? She wants
I
to
know.
dress like a woman, and then he gets the high heels, and she's like, no.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense.
I thought the same thing. I was like, well, didn't she want him to dress as a girl?
Yeah.
But yeah.
Now suddenly he's going to do it, and now she's like, never mind.
Yeah.
I don't want it anymore.
Yeah.
Never mind. Forget it.
Something in his young brain snapped, and his obsession with women's footwear became a full-blown fetishization. I don't understand how his mother, like we were saying, who forced him to dress up in women's clothing to humiliate him, would be mad if he decided to dress up in women's clothes on his own. Makes no sense. Like, she was mad that she didn't have the control of the situation to humiliate him, that it made him happy now.
And she was jealous that he rocked those pumps.
Yeah. They were spiked too. That's punk. That's punk as hell.
Yes.
And she didn't want him to be happy because she resented him. Yeah. I bet them spike pumps are pretty freaking cool. Mm-hmm. You just get a little leather spike jacket with it. The craving for women's shoes became so bad after the day of burning shoes, like Burning Man, but burning shoes, that he had dad joke.
I was going to do the knee slap there, but I was like, I probably shouldn't.
that attempted to steal his first grade's teacher's shoes one day during school from under her desk. He even would go as far as trying to steal the neighborhood girls' shoes when they would come to stop by to hang out with his older brother. Once the shoe temptation had lost its excitement, young Jerry started to sneak into the houses of neighborhood girls during the night while they slept and during the day when no one was home, and raid their underwear drawers and steal them to bring them back to his room to keep and look at whenever he wanted with his collection of shoes. Like he's young when he's doing this too.
Yeah, okay.
Like he's not a teenager. He's like
what, like 8 or something?
Yeah, he's like 8.
Stealing shoes and underwear, or girls' underwear. Okay.
Yeah. Like he's not even a teenager or a young adult. He's doing this. As childhood grew into young adolescence, the young man's fantasies would only become darker and darker and increasingly violent. Around the age of 17, Jerry had started to start the act of stalking women. His typical routine would consist of following a woman till they were out of sight of public, confront them at knife point, knock them down, and render them unconscious by knocking them out or choking them before making off with their footwear. This was a normal, quote-unquote, hobby he would conduct regularly.
Yeah, who needs stamp collecting?
No, I write music. What do you do? Collect snaps? What do you do? I stalk people.
And steal their shoes.
But of course, this hobby would get old to him and would need more of a thrill. But this thrill of a lifetime for him would be the act of his first arrest. In April of 1956, Jerry pursued a young 17-year-old girl to accompany him on a date. He proceeded to drive her out to a dark, deserted road, pulled a knife out, and demanded her to start undressing. When the young girl refused to do so, Jerry got out of the car, walked around to the other side, opened the car door, and began to drag her out of the car. While doing so, he began to beat and broke her nose. The young girl was screaming and brought attention to a nearby couple that had been driving by, who stopped and intervened. When the couple started asking questions, Jerry calmly told them that she just had fallen out of the car onto her face. But not shortly after that, he changed his story to that he came across the hysterical girl that was being attacked by some weirdo, and he overpowered the attacker and saved the young girl's life. Which is like, okay, well, you just told me that, she fell.
Weirdo.
It's some weirdo. What, you're the weirdo?
Yeah.
The couple didn't believe Jerry for a second and offered to drive to the nearest police station so the young girl could get some help, and Jerry agreed to go with as a witness, which I thought was weird because, like, you have your car there. Wouldn't you be like, oh, I'll follow them? But no, he went with them.
Yeah, that's bizarre.
Yeah. But once the police started asking Jerry questions about the event, Jerry broke and admitted that he was the one who attacked her, and that his intentions were simply to intimidate her into removing her clothes in order to photograph her, to take pictures of her. He denied having ever committed any previous acts of this nature, and states that his temper had simply gotten the best of him.
I'm still stuck on the weirdo thing. Like, I was just some weirdo.
I was driving and I saw some weirdo attacking this young girl, so I intervened.
And it makes me wonder, like, what was the point of this? Like, obviously he's not to raping these people yet.
No.
It's not even like a sexual thing. I don't know.
No.
It's very bizarre.
Well, I think the shoes are a sexual thing to him now. And, like, the underwear. But I think more of it is, like, the thrill of it at this point. But it goes a lot farther. But that's later on. So Jerry was arrested and charged with assault and battery, which is crazy that that's all he got was assault and battery.
But then again, look at all the other stuff we've talked about, and they get off with nothing.
Yeah. A search of his bedroom in his parents' home was also filed. An extensive search revealed female clothing plus numerous Polaroid photos of teenage girls. Jerry remained in custody while being referred to the Polk County Juvenile Department. Jerry was treated as a juvenile offender and sent to undergo psychiatric evaluation within the Oregon State Hospital. He was admitted to the facility on April 16th, 1956, where he remained there for 9 months while being permitted to leave the facility to attend high school. So he only went there for 9 months.
Hmm.
I lost my spot. Yeah, okay. While at the facility, Jerry was subjected to a range of tests and evaluations. These tests concluded that he was a depressive individual who suffered from schizotypal personality disorder, SPD, but was not mentally ill enough or suffering from delusions. Despite multiple confessions of his fetishes, including fantasies of chopping up women and to rearrange their body parts inside of a freezer.
And then they don't think this is mentally disturbed enough.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. Okay. Like, just because you're not seeing like illusions or hearing voices, obviously there's something mentally.
He's having dark thoughts about killing people.
Yeah, and rearranging them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and still they only kept him for 9 months. Obviously, this boy was deeply disturbed because he was only 17 when he went here. But let's just release him, after such a short time. Mm-hmm. The doctor at the facility concluded that Jerry's sexual fantasies revolved around a hatred obtained towards his mother, and then it would turn towards women in general. So it started with his mother. He hates his mother, so that's the whole reason for this.
Which I guess that it makes sense. I mean, we've seen that before, so.
Yeah. After his release from the Oregon State Hospital as a juvenile offender, he went back to live with his parents. He finally would graduate from Corvallis High School in 1956 as an average scholar, sitting at 142nd out of 202 classmates. 2 years later, after graduation, Jerry joined the Army in March of 1959, which is... Again, it seems like all the cases we covered, they're all in the military. Yep. Where he trained as a communication technician.
Oh, because he excels in that. Yeah.
My anger got the best of me. Sorry, boss.
Sorry about that.
Yeah. He actually became very good at being a technician and really enjoyed doing it, but the other service members he worked with said he gained a reputation as someone of a faintist who repeatedly claimed to be in a sexual relationship with a beautiful Korean girl whom he stated snuck into his bed every night. So the dudes he served with thought he was fucking weird.
And he's not delusional enough to have mental issues, but okay.
Yeah.
But he's imagining a whole woman sneaking into his bed.
It's like, dude, we sleep right next to you every night. There's no Korean woman.
Yeah. I didn't even think of that. I was thinking of his own home, and yeah, that makes sense, yeah.
It's just him laying in bed speaking Korean and then English and then going back and forth with the Koreans and some lady's voice. Surprisingly, Jerry was discharged from the army in October of 1959, having been classified as words are hard. Holy crap! I can't say this word real quick. He was unfit for the military service.
Okay. He's like, screw you guys. I got my new Korean girlfriend. I don't even need you guys.
Wow. He was mentally unfit for the service. Let's just put it that way. I'm having a stroke right now. I apologize for that. He then had to move back home to live with his parents, once again in Oregon, and soon after found employment at a local radio station as an electronic engineer. Everyone at the radio station said they liked Jerry. He was a soft-spoken man and conveyed a mild-mannered demeanor, but seemed to lack any ambition to advance himself despite being a licensed technician. So, I guess he was more worried about the Korean girlfriend.
Yeah, that's what it comes back to.
After a year working at the radio station, he met and married 17-year-old Darcy Metzler in 1961. Though they married out of wedlock because Darcy was 1 month pregnant at the time of their marriage.
Oh. And he was obviously not a minor when this happened.
No, he was not.
Okay.
But,
interesting.
Yeah. The newlyweds resigned in Portland, Oregon before relocating to a small house in the suburbs of Salem, Oregon in the summer of 1968. Jerry continued to be an electric technician to provide for his family, but he also occasionally repaired vehicles in the family garage as a side gig. Now remember this information because the garage is a very important piece of information later on in the case.
Noted.
The couple had 2 children together, a daughter named Teresa, born in 1962, and a son named Brian, born in 1967. From the outside perspective, the neighbors said Jerry was a devoted family man and rarely ever used profanity, just your typical 2 kids and a dog type suburban household. But they were wrong. Within the walls of their house, Jerry would force his bizarre desires upon his wife, Darcy. Go to say he brainwashed her into his submissive whims. He would force her to strip naked and wear nothing but a pair of heels while performing day-to-day chores around the house, as doing the dishes, cooking dinner, vacuuming the house, cleaning the bathroom, all while he would sit and watch her do so.
This is while they have their kids there and everything, too?
It explains a little bit more later.
Oh, God, okay.
For some couples, this could simply be just a standard kink in a relationship.
But it was more than that to him, clearly.
Yeah, though between Jerry and Darcy, things were definitely non-consensual. He never asked it, he demanded. It even went as far as he had to start taking photographs of her before engaging in intercourse. It got so bad that if she didn't allow him to photograph her beforehand, he wouldn't engage in intercourse with her.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So, wanting to be the proper housewife during the 1960s, Darcy put up with her husband's behaviors for years. But by the birth of their second child, she had starting to feel like these unusual acts needed to stop. She felt like nothing about her was a human being anymore, but she was just a fetish object and high heels for her husband.
That's sad.
Yeah. By the mid-1960s, their daughter Teresa had become a toddler, which would mean that the demand for more attention and parenting from Darcy was needed, which is completely normal. She's older now.
Right.
You know, she needs more attention, more stimulation, and she now understands more things that are going on in the household. So, like, this weird shit that mom's doing for dad is that's kind of weird.
Right.
This is when Darcy started to refuse to participate in Jerry's strange sexual demands of, you know, householding or doing household things in high heels, modeling in the nude, sexual pictures, and sexual rituals. She believed that the children should not be seeing these acts within the household. It wasn't proper for them to be witnessing these behaviors, which is like, yeah, dude, that's like logical thinking. Plus, Jerry was letting himself go and was putting on lots of weight. He was losing his looks. Darcy never informed him of these feelings, but with the constant demand for all these unusual sexual demands and the loss of looks in her husband, the sight and thought of her husband repulsed her.
Which I feel like that totally makes sense, because it's like, the more she's forced into it, the less likely she's going to want to do this.
Well, yeah.
With him. So it's like, that makes total sense. I totally understand why she feels that.
Plus, she's like thinking to herself, like, this is getting kind of weird.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't really feel...
And the fact that he was cool with his own children seeing that, it makes me wonder, like, okay, something's not right.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know.
Makes you wonder if he witnessed something like that as a kid, too.
Yeah, I didn't see anything about that. Well, who knows what really happened with his mom, though.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, because obviously she was crazy enough to dress him up as a woman or a girl, you know.
Right.
Though Darcy stayed loyal to her husband, the two engaged in intercourse less and less, and more dedication to her daughter and social activities with her female friends, while Jerry spent more time in the workshop and the garage, devoting more time focusing on electrical projects. Within this new rejection from his wife that in the past would obey him with all his sick sexual demands, Jerry started going off the deep end again. So he's been, ever since he got out of, you know, the state hospital, all that stuff kind of went away, but now it's coming back. So, and he's in his like 20s, like late 20s now. He started to have all those old dark fantasies he had talked about when he was 17, locked up in Oregon State Hospital. He started to have severe migraines and even started blacking out because he was getting rejected. To, quote, cure himself, he started his nightly panty raids again.
Oh, God. Oh, no. I thought we left that in the past. Yeah. Okay, I guess not.
And in the callback to his childhood, starting dressing in full drag again. So it's like, dude, like, really could not take rejection. After another rejection from his wife one night, Jerry finally went off the deep end. He had to, quote unquote, fully cure himself this time. He went out that night, hit the town, and spotted a woman that could be his medicine for his, quote, cure.
Yep, I don't like this.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah. The woman became his target because of her high-heeled shoes. Literally off her shoes. That's why he chose her.
So to think, if she wore a different outfit, this would have never happened.
Exactly. If she would have wore like tennis shoes or like running shoes or something, it never would have happened. He followed her home to her apartment complex, waited till it was late at night, and assumed she was sleeping. Broke in to find her sleeping in bed, got on top of her, strangled her till she was unconscious. His original intent was just to make off with her shoes and head back home, but according to him in an interview later on, in a statement, he said upon entering the apartment he didn't have any intent to rape her, but the sight of the young woman lying there limp at his mercy beneath him aroused him so much to a degree he did rape her unconscious body before fleeing the apartment with her pair of shoes.
What a sicko.
Yeah. Jerry Brudos was never charged for this crime.
Of course he wasn't.
Yeah. He would admit, like I said, he would admit to it years later on when he was incarcerated. So. Yeah, which is fucked up. And the thing is, I couldn't find a name on this girl either.
So did she die or she survived that?
I'm assuming she survived because everything I looked into, it didn't say she died or didn't say anything. But there's no information on it because he never was charged with it because she never came forward with anything. Okay. Like I said, I couldn't even find a name. It was just like everything I had read said that he had stated this when he was incarcerated years later.
Okay. That's sad. Well, she's probably still alive today then, so hopefully she's doing all right.
Yeah, hopefully. The following year, Jerry would be arrested by the Corvallis County Police Department while on the grounds of an Oregon State University women's dormitory. He was charged with breaking into dorm rooms and stealing female students' clothing. This is fucking funny. But when caught by police, he was wearing a pair of pedal pushers, high-heeled shoes and women's underwear that had been stolen from the crime scene of the robberies on the campus. So he was wearing the fucking clothes.
Oh my god. What are pedal pushers? I'm sorry.
I don't know. I thought it was a pair of shoes.
Yeah, but then you said
But yeah, but then
okay.
high heels. Maybe it's just like a pair type of shoes or something. I didn't look into it.
Pushers.
Yeah, I was just like, what the fuck is a pedal pusher? I probably should have looked into it real quick, but I can look into it.
I'm
Hang
Googling
on.
that after
Yeah.
this. What is a pedal pusher?
But I think it's funny because like you just imagine like the cops coming up and there's some dude wearing like just like women's clothing.
College women's
clothing. And this is back in the 60s, so it's like it wasn't common. And there's like, man, that looks...
do you know why we pulled you over today, sir?
That looks
My
awfully...
daughter has that same outfit.
Suspicious. I was just talking to some lady that said that this got stolen from her dorm room.
Pedal pushers. Yep, you're the guy.
But, yeah, but this is where we're going to end this episode. Tune in next week where we dive deep into the horrific acts Jerry Brudos conducts upon the world. Thank you for listening to this week's episode on... Thank you for listening to this week's episode for Cheese for Thought. As always, this is your boy Drew.
And Ariel.
Peace out.
Peace.